So you want to build a single speed mountain bike? Well, here's how to do it. My GT Ricochet Plus has been the most popular bike on my channel, and there's a lot of reason behind it. It's a great beginner mountain bike if you're on a budget. The only negative about this bike, other than some of the stock components, is the fact that it is bright orange and a little bit clunky. The best way to combat this was simply removing all the excess, turn it into a single speed, and strip the frame of the paint. But if you don't mind the color, then don't worry about stripping the paint. In this video, we'll discuss how to turn the GT Ricochet Plus or any other budget mountain bike into a single speed. Please note that this is a generalization of the process. I'm not breaking it down into specifics because there would be way too much to cover in a single video. If you would like specific tutorial videos, please let me know, or check out the PARKTOOL channel, GMBN, or any of the other sources on YouTube. I'll post some down below for the specific procedures that I do in this video. Let's get on with the process and talk about the parts. Depending on if you want to upgrade some of the stock parts, you'll only need 3 things to convert this bike to a single speed. A narrow wide chain ring. The wider teeth on this chain ring will secure the chain and will prevent chain drop as opposed to the ramp style chain tooth on a standard stock chain ring. You'll also need a single speed cog kit for your rear wheel. You can try to jerry rig a chain tooth off of your cassette, but I suggest purchasing one from your local bike shop or ordering one online that is specific for single speed riding. It will include spacers and all the supplies that you'll need to securely add a single speed cog to your rear hub. And last and most importantly, you'll need a single speed chain tensioner. This is the most integral part of a single speed. You can get a chain to work without a chain tensioner, but you'll be replacing chains frequently and you won't have the same performance or success without the chain tensioner. I also purchased some upgrades that include a seat, grips, bars, bottom bracket, crankset, and stem. Surprisingly, all these parts are around $200 and they are all linked below. There are a couple of bike specific tools that you will also need, so you can include them in the overall price of this build. If you don't plan on removing your stock crank, you won't need the crank puller or bottom bracket tool, and you can technically remove the cassette without any specific tools, but it's not worth the pain and potential destruction. An important tool set for any bike mechanic is a set of Allen keys. Cassette removal tool includes chain whip and cassette lock ring tool, a chain breaker, a square taper crank puller, and a Hollowtech bottom bracket tool. Now let's finally get into the build process. You'll have to remove the rear wheel. There are a ton of small fiddly screws that you'll end up with, so keep them in a safe place. Next, you'll use your Allen keys to remove the rear derailleur and the front derailleur. Make sure to remove all cables, housings, and shifters at this point. You won't need them anymore. If you aren't planning to strip the paint or remove the stock crank, you're done with the bulk of this project. If you are planning on removing the crank, you'll need a crank puller tool. It's a tricky beast and the stock crank will more than likely fight with you to come off. Just keep cracking away at it and eventually it will free itself. Make sure you don't strip the threads or else you're pretty much screwed. At this point, you are ready to put the bike back together as a single speed, or continue stripping as I am with my bike. You'll most definitely end up with a bunch of screws and parts, so it's a good idea to organize them before you lose them all. If you plan on returning this bike to the stock form, then you'll definitely need them. I use these big hardware cases to hold and organize all my bike parts and hardware. Now to the fun part. This part here is the single speed cog. You'll need to remove your stock cassette and replace it with this single speed cog to successfully call yourself a single speed lord. Next, you'll remove the dork disc. If you are replacing the bottom bracket, now is a good time to grease the threads and install the new Hollowtech style bottom bracket. I don't have like a Turkish coffee, Turkaloo, a torque wrench to check this. I don't even know how you would do that with something like that, but it feels torqued down tight enough, and since these pedals are going to be tightening it all the time, you don't really have to worry about under tightening this. On the opposite side here, you've got a little space where this goes and it tightens down the bottom bracket so that there's no play side by side in it, and it makes sure everything is nice and tight. Now that your rear wheel and bottom bracket with single speed chainring is installed, it's time to install your chain. Finding the right chain length is dependent on what gearing you end up with on your bike and the tensioner that you use. I learned through trial and error that this is an integral part to single speed riding. Just know that this is a process and you'll likely find yourself off chain length by 1 or 2 links and want to quit, but just keep experimenting until you understand the concept instead of just making it work. This will make things a lot easier throughout your ride career. If you're wondering what this little doodad is on my derailleur hanger, it's a spring tensioner that I made myself. I'll be making a video on this pretty shortly after I test it out and make sure that it works properly on the trail. Haven't had a chance to do that, but it seems like it should work fine. And that is the basic process of converting your geared mountain bike into a single speed monster. You'll be able to shred the trails and increase your skills because riding a single speed is tough, and the only way to make it move is by finding smooth lines and carrying your speed. I hope you enjoyed and learned something along the way. Get out there and create your own adventure however you can, spread some positivity, and I will see you on the next one.